Argentina is a great country to visit for a holiday, but what if you want to stay longer? Historically, Argentina has opened its doors to immigrants from all around the world, but once they get here, what next? How easy is it to get an Argentine passport, and would you really want to? Since Mr. Putin began the latest phase of his project to reunify the Soviet Union with his invasion of Ukraine 2.5 years ago, Argentina has seen a steady stream of refugees from the war. Some Ukrainians, but mostly Russians, presumably trying to get away from being drafted and sent to fight, or simply having had enough of the problems of living in an international pariah state. It's very common to hear Russian being spoken on the street, and YouTube has lots of channels by young Russian immigrants vlogging about their experiences of living in Buenos Aires, mostly in Russian, but occasionally in English. Shortly after the war in Ukraine began, there was a news report about a plane full of heavily pregnant Russian women arriving at the international airport on the outskirts of Buenos Aires. Unlike in the old world of Europe, nationality in most American countries, north and south, is determined by land rather than blood. This means anyone born on Argentine soil is automatically a full Argentine citizen, and the child's mother, I imagine, will automatically get at least permanent resident status. There could be many reasons to relocate and start a new life in Argentina. There are the obvious refugees, it's quite a popular country for digital nomads, and there are an increasing number of retirees from Europe or North America. Argentina is a reasonably safe country with a relaxed pace of life and lots to see and do. And because of the state of the economy, even quite a modest pension in dollars could go a long way. Once here, the first thing to obtain is residency, either temporary or permanent. With that status, it's possible to get a DNI, the National Identity Document. A DNI unlocks the doors to everything: opening a bank account, using credit cards, getting a cell phone service, renting an apartment rather than an expensive Airbnb, etc., etc. The document can even be used as an alternative to a passport when visiting some neighbouring countries. Residency and the DNI document are also the next step on the road to full citizenship and an Argentine passport, if that's the goal. Argentine citizenship isn't for everyone. Most European and North American passports are much superior, so there's little point for a lot of visitors. But for the refugees from Russia, this is the real reason why many choose to come here. Residency for just 2 years permits an application for full citizenship. Most countries is at least 3 or 5 years. And for those coming from Russia whose passport isn't really worth much, the Argentine passport opens the doors to possible travel to many countries, including quite a lot of the European Union. Having said all this, much of these rules are legacies of previous governments who had closer ties with Russia and a much more open attitude to foreigners in general. It remains to be seen if things will change under Milei's administration. When I arrived in Argentina, quite a long time ago now, it was on a 3-month tourist visa. For the first year or so, just like a lot of foreigners, I took periodic trips across the Rio de la Plata to Colonia in Uruguay in order to get a new stamp in my passport and another 3 months in Argentina. For those intending to stay in Argentina for a relatively short amount of time, this is probably still a good option. Then came the possibility to get a temporary residency. This was a long and extremely bureaucratic process, which involved lots of standing in long lines at early hours of the morning at various locations around the city, particularly at the migrations office, which was then down in the port. I had to be fingerprinted, have my passport translated, obtain documentation from both Argentina and back in the UK, although interestingly not my antecedentes penal, criminal record from UK, because apparently British people aren't criminals. The whole process to get my 24-month temporary residency took 22 months, and by that time I had to apply for renewal almost immediately. This was more of a formality and only took a couple of months. That was all a long time ago, and still very much an analogue system at the time. From what I understand talking to more recent arrivals, the process has been speeded up considerably. Before having to go through the whole thing yet again, I married my Argentine wife and was instantly given permanent residency status and a full DNI, the national identity document. So if you want to stay longer, marriage is always an option. I could now apply for my full citizenship and passport, but I've never seen any useful reason to do so. I already hold dual nationality to a couple of European countries with excellent passports, and there's nothing particular to gain by adding an Argentine one, except to be able to say I have triple nationality, which I suppose is pretty rare and something to boast about. I have a number of British friends who are also permanent residents here, one who's been here considerably longer than me, and none of them have ever bothered with applying for full Argentine citizenship. But obviously for someone arriving as a refugee from somewhere like Russia, the Argentine passport is a useful step up. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, there's a couple of videos on the screen right now. If you're not already subscribed, you might want to do that too. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. And until next time, que tengas un buen día.